I was just talking about basket weavers, and I'm sure we're gonna hear more about it from you in a little while. Just bringing community really back to the people, because I think that's really really important nowadays. I tend to I report on news, I report on things that are going on, and always what I want to do, and the wheels are working in my brain too. How do we move forward, right? How do we fix the issues that are at hand? And I think this basket weavers thing is when you first showed it to me and were talking to me about it, I was like, this is good. This is kind of what we need. We need community. We need people coming together to help. I mean, basket weaving is like one of the oldest arts on in human societies. I mean, we've been using baskets for ever, right? Since we first learned how to do it, we need baskets for everything. So yeah.
I would like to assure your audience that it's not some kind of basket weaving cult that trying to encourage people into. It's a symbol. It's a symbol for
Come and
lots
weave
of
with
the
us.
grassroots movements.
Come weave with us, everyone. You will
One
be
weave a week.
happy. All right. So before we get into this, so you're over in the UK right now, which is quite late. So I want to just say thank you for tuning in, and thanks for joining me on the show. I know it's rather late for you. And before we get into these subjects, I am curious, since you are in the UK, what do you think of America? What is your general? I mean, maybe not you in general. Like, what is the viewpoint on America right now?
I mean, aside from the Americans in general being absolutely balmy in absolutely everything that they do.
Wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? Balmy.
just a little bit crazy, a little bit bombastic, a little bit over the top.
Yeah, okay.
Taking everything a little bit too far.
Okay.
But certainly in my sphere of the internet, we're also looking at you and going, okay, America seems to be on the brink of something rather dramatic.
Yeah.
You have a president who many over here consider to be illegitimate.
Really? Over in the UK, they're saying that.
Yeah. Most of us, or most of the people I know who are even mildly politically engaged, are looking at this and going, "Really? This got past all of the audits." We looked at exactly what. Well, you said the audit's coming in tomorrow for Arizona, right?
Yeah, so. That's right. And Joe Biden came out today and said he might shut down the government for some reason because the Senate won't raise the debt ceiling. Yeah, BS. It has anything to do with that. I think it has something to do with the audits coming out soon. That's refreshing. That's refreshing to hear that. That's actually what most people are looking out. It feels like half of America's brainwashed to me. It really does kind of feel that way.
I mean, half of Britain's brainwashed at least anyway, but those people aren't looking at America typically, apart from with fawning eyes at James Corden talking about CNN.
Oh my gosh!
Speaking of, I can't wait if he does lock down the government, and of course has his elite Biden defense forces set out with the fencing and everything, like was done at the inauguration.
Yeah.
How it's going to be spun by CNN as something really positive, and isn't he just the best? Isn't he just the best? Look, he loves ice cream, everybody.
Yeah, so
cuddly. Goodness me.
Yeah, that ice cream thing it's rather embarrassing, actually. Yeah, so
I mean, it's difficult because you now have to evaluate every decision that gets made by the Biden administration, and you're like, okay, what's coming out of actually the presidential office? What is the civil servants agenda just being pushed because? And what is like Nancy Pelosi doing sitting behind like some kind of malevolent puppet master saying,
you're seeing that too? I mean, I'm really close to the situation because I'm like always watching this stuff, and I think Nancy Pelosi is definitely pulling some strings. So to hear that you're seeing that from all the way across the pond, I mean, goodness sakes, wow. Thank you. That's refreshing to hear that I'm not kind of going crazy over here, because it does feel like she is pulling the strings. Her and her whole family. I don't know if you know how deep her family goes in the U.S. government, but they're widespread.
I dread to think.
Yeah, it's as bad as you would think it is, unfortunately. But let's get into community, though. That's kind of why we started talking about having you on the show. I think community is absolutely the most important thing. I think it's the reason why humans have made it this far is because community, because we teach each other, because we help each other. And, we're in this stage where we're almost like set on a path to focus solely on ourselves, but not like the mental health side of ourselves, just like the shallow, I don't care what anyone else is doing. Do you know what I mean? It's like the wrong aspect of focusing on yourself.
It's like there's the kind of atomized individualism side of things, which I
Yeah.
mean has really been around like at least 40 years, potentially 60.
Mm.
And it like the whole people forget that the reason for like they'll recognize in the psychology world that we're a social species, that
Yeah.
we derive a lot of the value in our existence from the relationships with the people around us. And then they're like, okay, the way that you should do this is you know yourself better than anyone else, which just flatly is a lie for most people, I'm sorry to say.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if I agree with that, though. Is it because you think most people have a skewed vision of themselves, so they're not seeing like the true reality of what they are?
It's more that like, so you've got a few different types of people.
Okay.
So you've got the people who overestimate their abilities and their social skills. You've got the people who underestimate, and you've also got the people who have no idea whatsoever. And across all of these breadths of people,
Mhm.
you'll have wildly different ideas. There's the whole concept of personality tests in psychology, right?
Yeah.
And they only work really aside from all technical issues with psychometrics aside anyway, but they only work really if you know yourself. So to give a personal anecdotal experience, I was in the Royal Air Force in the UK.
Nice.
And as part of that, they have their own personalized psychometric called SDI. And as a result of this, you get given one of three colors on a big triangle. So blue people, green people, and red people. Red people are sort of like your kind of go-getting, individually focused, personal achievement focus, strongly self-motivated.
Okay.
Your blue people are motivated by helping others, everything that they can bring in value to a team. That's the sort of thing which gets them up in the morning. And then the green people are super analytical. They love their diagrams. They love making a project work just on a technical level.
Okay, wait, hold on. So what I'm getting is there is actual segregation going on in the UK Air Force. Wow. Breaking news, everyone. I thought you guys were past this. No, I'm just kidding. No, please continue though.
Well, we did invent concentration camps, but nobody told anyone about that.
Oof.
But no, so we had people who go through, especially like the people who would come out typically strongly red, who wanted to be seen as like these caring people, especially the women wanted to be seen as the people who were like driven by all this teamwork. You put them with a load of blue people and they hate it because they have a completely different personality type. And then as soon as you drop them in the red group, then they're good. And so there's a good portion of society who have this idealized idea of what they think they are, but they actually aren't. And to bring it back to kind of community and the sort of barriers to that, how many times have you kind of heard it said that someone had a mentor who pushed them to achieve something that they didn't think was possible? And this idea is kind of lacking. This idea that there's someone out there who does know better than you. Like there's always going to be someone who's better than you at something. And there are also going to be people who are great teachers to you, whether or not it's in your industry or not, which are going to impart values and work ethic and push you to achieve things, as you say, which you think are either beyond your abilities, or they'll curb your expectations so that you don't get disappointed if you don't achieve, you're not going to make $1 million in 1 year starting out in a retail job, right? That's just not the case.
True.
And I'm not insinuating that there are lots of people with that particular distortion, but to curb your expectations, to understand what it's like. And that's really important for dealing with the challenges in life. So, and community fulfills that role, because it's all of your different obligations to all sorts of people. It's not just your friends, it's not just your family, but it is this network of both businesses and casual relationships in your life, which are really important to foster and to take stock of. And it's not just, well, I'm perfect and I know what I'm doing, but also I happen to be miserable and really depressed and I don't know why. So yeah, the keeping things on too much of an individual level causes issues.
Let me ask you though, do you think it's possible though for people to know themselves though, to have the appropriate view of who they are?
Absolutely, and those people are very self-actualized, and I would kind of posit that those are the people who don't really need what we're offering. But there's clearly this huge kind of glut in the population of people who are really, really struggling to find like the meaning in their lives. They're told they must be passionate about things, usually their job, and they're not.
True.
And if you think about it, I mean, I don't know about your personal situation, but like my dad did not enjoy his job typically.
Okay.
But he did enjoy coming home to his family. He did enjoy going out with his friends, and he worked so that he could facilitate looking after those people and going out with his friends.
Yeah.
Now we live in a situation where a lot of people that I know number their kind of contacts in the local community, both family and friends, in single digits. And that I think that's really sad, and something I want to help change.
I mean, it's, well, you're talking about like their inner circle, like they only have like maybe count them on their fingers, how many people that they would actually like hang out with. Is that what you mean? Like the single digits?
Yeah, I mean, like we're living in an increasingly globalized world, which encourages people to move. And I know that people moved previously, but because we have things like the internet, where you can sort of stay in contact but not in contact, people end up not prioritizing their relationships, because like they're always a WhatsApp call away, they're always a WhatsApp message away, but they never like, people don't capitalize on this. And then you've got the other issue with politics, which is in a world where like everything is increasingly curated, the people with the opinions which are considered deplorable retreat into kind of online committees. And I'm not, I mean, you are clearly, you derive a great deal of authenticity and enjoyment from bringing this podcast and bringing the other content that you do to people. But for many of the listeners, like, this is their only real engagement. They might talk with other commenters. I'm sorry to anyone in the chat who feels personally attacked by this, but these people end up going into online communities. And
speaking of which, I mean, shout out to my chat, because I say this all the time. I talk about how my chat is a community, and it is an incredible community, and that's and I feel fantastic. I feel a part of this community, and that everyone shows up for me every day. And I see a lot of people in chat right now that I see every single day, and they come into chat and they're saying hi to each other, asking about each other's personal lives. They're worrying about people's moms that are in the hospital, or all these different things. And it's amazing to see, and it is, I mean, I'm not assuming everyone is a deplorable, and I use the term deplorable because it's like, if you're not going in the mainstream narrative, right? If you don't just automatically idolize Joseph Biden, which I don't even understand how anyone could do that, but that's another segment, another subject. I feel like a lot of the people here are deplorables that might have family. I mean, I know some people that have their entire families are drank the Kool-Aid essentially, and they come to me and are able to kind of like feel like a sane person. Like, oh my gosh, what a breath of fresh air, So I'm grateful to have that community around me.